Good morning, students. Today we are going to start with a new essay on superstitions by A.G. Gardiner. Before discussing the text, let us know something about the author. Alfred George Gardiner, writer of some of the most celebrated journalist essays and sketches under the pen name Alpha of the Flow, was the editor of the Daily News London. He was also the president of the Institute of Journalists. His best essays are those which he contributed to a number of leading British newspapers. Gardiner's essays are apparently of a casual type, as most journalistic articles and features are. Yet through them he expresses his natural sense of joy and harmony of life. His responses to life may not be very deep and philosophical, but none can deny his unfailing cultured and balanced outlook. In some of his best essays, Gardiner makes the reader aware of the darkness and sorrow of the years during the First World War. But what is charming in him is that he naturally inspires the reader to feel that life is beautiful, wars or no wars. A distinctive quality of his style is that he never strains after effects. The effortless ease which is reflected through his writings comes from his spontaneous responses to life and his capacity to express something of the universal through his experiences. The result is that while reading Gardiner's, the reader quickly attunes himself to the moods and feelings of the writer. Gardiner, we may say, is the model of a modern writer who is able to elevate journalistic writings to the level of literature. Gardiner's style is the same as that of the most natural and intimate conversationalist. His sentences are usually short and the figures are homely. The passage from the start to the essay to its end goes through well arranged stages, in each of which we may mark a series of short sentences clinched finally by a relatively long one. This arrangement, free from all sophistications, mirrors the essay's heart and mind. Occasionally, there are learned allusions, but these harmonize with the style and never give the impression of any flaunting of the essay's learning. Let us start with the text of the essay on superstitions. Superstitions means ignorant belief or ideal fancies. It was inevitable that the fact that a murder has taken place at a house with the number 13 in a street, the letters of whose name numbered 13 would not pass unnoticed. Author starts with the example of number 13 Number 13 is generally considered as an unlucky number. He says that if there has taken place a murder in a house number 13 or in a street number 13, immediately it attracts our attention. He says that it was inevitable that the fact, it is an inevitable, irrefutable fact that whenever a murder takes place in a house number 13 or a street number 13, automatically it attracts our attention. It compels us to think that maybe this number 13 is responsible for that murder. If we took the last 100 murders that have been committed, I suppose we should find that as many have taken place at number 6 or number 7 or any other number you choose as at number 13. That the law of average is as inexorable here as elsewhere. Now he says, suppose we analyze 100 murders, we will find that the number of murders took place in street number 6 or street number 7. The same number of murder has taken place in street number 13. But this consideration does not prevent the world remarking on the fact when number 13 has its turn. Though the average is same, whereas the numbers are concerned, the average of the murders, it is same, but he says this very consideration, this very thinking does not stop us, does not prevent us when the turn of number 13 comes. We start giving arguments. Maybe, might be because of this unlucky number, such thing happened. Note that the world believes there is anything in the superstition. It doesn't mean that the entire world believes that it is superstitious number, it is an unlucky number. It is quite sure it is a mere childish folly, of course. He says that sure, it doesn't mean that the world believes in superstitions. If it is considered, it should be considered as childish folly, a mad action. Few of us would refuse to take a house because its number was 13, or decline an invitation to dinner because there were to be 13 at table. He says that very less number out of us would refuse to purchase a house that is bearing the number 13. Few of us would refuse the invitation of a dinner in which there are going to be 13 members around the table. But most of us would be just a shade happier if that desirable residence were numbered 11. He says that, but most of us would be delighted, would be happy if the house that is going to be purchased is having number 11. And not any the less pleased with the dinner if one of the guests contracted a chill that kept him away. In the likewise manner, talking about the example of dinner, he says, in this case also, suppose one of the guests becomes ill and he remains absent from the dinner, most of us would be pleased. We would not confess this little weakness to each other. This is a little weakness, and we do not accept it to one another. We might even refuse to admit it to ourselves, but it is there. Even we might refuse to admit to ourselves. We can say that we do not believe in superstitions, in such things, in idle fancies, in such ignorant beliefs. But author says the fact is that such things are there in the life of human beings. Mark it here. Thank you very much.